0352 ANM, Black Sea, 50 miles off the coast of Crimea. The camera feed from the fiber-optic sensor ball flickers to life, revealing nothing but the pitch-black chopping waves of the open ocean. A Magura V5 unmanned surface vessel cuts through the water like a phantom, its low-profile hull barely registering against the horizon. T-minus 180 seconds to launch. Target, the Russian naval drone base near Myrne. While the world's media was busy hyper-analyzing a series of tweets regarding the purchase of Greenland and the strategic importance of the Arctic Circle, the Kremlin made a fatal calculation. Obsessed with posturing against NATO in the high north, Moscow quietly shifted its premier electronic warfare assets and elite Spetsnaz units to protect the Kola Peninsula. Vladimir Putin was laughing all the way to the bank, believing he had outmaneuvered the West by fortifying the Arctic shelf while NATO squabbled over ice. The Putofik space base might be tracking missiles from 2,000 miles away, but it couldn't see what was happening in the Black Sea. Russia's stare was fixed north, leaving its southern underbelly exposed. The Black Sea fleet, already battered and bruised, had been forced to consolidate its assets. The radar coverage from S-400 and Panzer batteries, usually overlapping in a dense kill web, was now thinned out. Personnel were stretched, rotations were missed, and the night shift at Myrne was operating with a skeleton crew. It was the perfect storm of complacency and strategic distraction. Ukraine didn't care about the Arctic ice shelves. They cared about the Myrne naval base, the heart of Russia's own unmanned fleet, home to dozens of attack drones that had been terrorizing Odessa nightly. Tonight, the hunter was about to become the prey. On the operator's screen in a hidden bunker in the Odessa Oblast, a red overlay pulsed ominously. It marked the Russian electronic warfare bubble, a zone extending 40 to 60 miles around the Crimean coast, where GPS signals went to die. But the Magura V5 wasn't relying on standard navigation. This 18-foot masterpiece of naval engineering, carrying a payload of 660 pounds of high explosives, was operating on inertial guidance systems calibrated to such extreme precision that they measured the rotation of the Earth to maintain course. Its hull, coated in radar-absorbent material, gave it the radar cross-section of a small buoy. The Magura pushed forward at 48 miles per hour, its water-jet propulsion system designed to minimize cavitation bubbles, the acoustic signature that normally gives away fast boats to sonar. To the Russian listening posts, it sounded like background ocean noise. One ghost boat carrying 4 angry bees inside. The journey had begun 6 hours ago, a 400-mile odyssey through contested waters. The sea state was rough with waves cresting at 4 to 6 feet, effectively hiding the Magura's 1.6-foot waterline height from visual observation. But physics is a cruel mistress, and even stealth boats displace water. At 250 miles out, the Russian coastal defense network should have picked something up. The Nebo-M radar complex is designed to detect stealth aircraft and ballistic missiles at ranges exceeding 300 miles. But radars struggle with the clutter notch, the chaotic interference caused by waves reflecting radar energy near the surface. The Russian operators at the radar station were fighting a losing battle against the sea itself. The Nebo-M's algorithms were filtering out the noise of the waves, and in doing so, they were filtering out the Magura. It was like trying to spot a specific grain of sand in a sandstorm. However, the Russians weren't completely asleep. A Project 22,160 patrol boat. Likely the Dmitry Rogozin was patrolling the outer perimeter. Its sophisticated sensor suite detected a hydrodynamic anomaly, a wake pattern that didn't match the prevailing current. The captain of the patrol boat ordered a Ka-27 Helix helicopter to investigate. The helicopter lifted off the deck, its coaxial rotors chopping the night air. This was the moment where the mission usually fails. The Helix is a submarine hunter equipped with dipping sonar and sonobuoys. As the helicopter raced toward the anomaly, the Magura's operator initiated dive mode. The drone flooded its ballast tanks, sinking lower into the water, until only its sensor mast and Starlink antenna remained above the surface. Its speed dropped to 5 knots, reducing its wake to nothing. The Ka-27 arrived on station minutes later, dropping a pattern of RGB and M1 passive sonobuoys. These sensors are sensitive enough to hear a submarine hatch close from 5 miles away. But the Magura had switched to electric creep motors, generating less acoustic energy than a school of fish. The helicopter pilot reported negative contact and turned back to the ship. The operator in Odessa exhaled. "They're sniffing the waves," he muttered to the mission commander, "but we're the shadow." The Magura purged its ballast and surged back to attack speed. Now 25 miles off the coast, the mission profile changed dramatically. The Magura V5 wasn't just a kamikaze boat. Tonight it was an aircraft carrier. The top hatches of the US-5 retracted, revealing 4 launch rails. These weren't standard FPV drones. These were fiber-optic guided munitions. Unlike radio-controlled drones that can be jammed by the Krasuka 4 electronic warfare systems protecting the base, these drones unspooled a thin strand of fiber-optic cable behind them. This cable, measuring just a few microns thick, provided a hardline physical connection between the drone and the mothership. It offered infinite bandwidth for uncompressed video and, crucially, was completely immune to jamming. You can't jam a glass wire with radio waves. The first FPV launched its motors screaming as it climbed to 150 feet. Then the second, third, and fourth followed in rapid succession. The Magura slowed to a drift, acting as a floating relay station, beaming the signals from the drones back to Odessa via satellite. The swarm formed up, staying low to mass themselves against the terrain of the coastline. The Russian air defense grid at Myrne was formidable on paper. A Panzer S-1 battery guarded the approach, its dual 30mm cannons and 12 missiles ready to engage. But the Panzer has a fatal flaw. Its engagement radar struggles to track multiple targets moving at different azimuths at extremely low altitudes. The ground clutter creates ghost targets, confusing the fire control computer. The swarm split into 2 pairs. Drones 1 and 2 climbed rapidly, deliberately exposing themselves to the radar. They were the decoys. The Panzer's radar lock tone screamed in the control van. Targets acquired azimuth 210, range 8 miles. The Russian operator, running on adrenaline and caffeine, didn't hesitate. He launched 2 57 E6 missiles. The missiles accelerated to Mach 3, instantly closing the distance in seconds. Drone 1 was vaporized in a cloud of tungsten fragments. But Drone 2 executed a split-S maneuver, diving toward the ocean surface. The missile, unable to track the sudden change in altitude against the backdrop of the water, flew past and detonated harmlessly 500 meters away. The distraction had worked. While the Panzer was fixated on the high flyers, drones 3 and 4 were skimming the wavetops at 80 miles per hour, completely invisible to the radar. They crossed the shoreline, entering the dead zone where the Panzer's radar couldn't depress low enough to see. Suddenly, the night erupted in small arms fire. Russian naval infantry stationed on the perimeter had spotted the low flyers. Tracers from .50 caliber machine guns stitched the sky. A soldier shouldered an Igla-S man-pad, searching for a heat signature. But the electric motors of the FPVs generated almost no heat. The Igla's seeker head whined, failing to lock. The soldier fired blindly, the missile corkscrewing into the ground. It was chaos. Drone 3, piloted by a veteran operator with steady hands, identified the primary threat, the Panzer's radar antenna. The drone accelerated, ignoring the tracers whizzing past its frame. At 300 meters, the Panzer's cannons traversed, trying to bring their fire to bear. But the turret rotation speed was too slow to track the drone's erratic jinking. Drone 3 slammed into the phased array radar. The explosion wasn't massive, only 5 kilograms of plastic explosive, but it was shaped to penetrate. The blast shattered the delicate electronics of the radar face, blinding the entire battery. The Myrne base was now defenseless against air attack. Meanwhile, out at sea, the Russians were escalating. A Grashonak-class anti-saboteur boat rushed toward the Magura's last known position at 30 knots. Its heavy machine guns were sweeping the water, searching for the mothership. The Magura operator saw the approaching threat on the localized radar. He had a choice: scuttle the boat or use it. He chose violence. The Magura shifted from relay mode to attack mode. It turned directly toward the oncoming patrol boat. The Russian captain saw the wake and ordered a hard turn, trying to unmask his rear heavy gun. But the Magura was faster. The USV didn't aim for the hull, it aimed for the propellers. At the last second, the Magura dove, detonating its 660-pound warhead directly under the Grashonok's stern. The physics of an underwater explosion are terrifying. The gas bubble expanded and collapsed, snapping the patrol boat's keel like a dry twig. The Grashonok was lifted out of the water, then slammed back down, dead in the water and sinking fast. Back at the base, the chaos was absolute. With the Panzer blinded Drone 4 and the surviving Drone 2, the decoy had free rein. They circled the facility, looking for the high-value targets. The base commander, realizing his air defenses were gone, ordered his men to deploy smoke canisters. But the thermal cameras on the fiber-optic drones cut through the smoke like it wasn't there. The targets glowed white-hot: the fuel depot and the storage hangar. Drone 2, heavily damaged from the earlier missile near miss, dove into the fuel depot. The impact ignited 40,000 gallons of aviation fuel. The fireball rose 200 feet into the air, turning night into day. The heat was so intense it melted the asphalt on the parade ground 100 yards away. But the real prize was the hangar. Inside sat 6 of Russia's newest naval attack drones being prepped for a morning strike on Odessa. Drone 4 hovered for a split second, the operator lining up the shot through the open hangar doors. "Knock, knock," the operator whispered. The drone accelerated to 100 miles per hour. It flew straight through the hangar doors and detonated against the rack of torpedo warheads stored next to the drones. The secondary explosion was registered by seismographs in Turkey. The shockwave leveled the hangar instantly. The roof collapsed, crushing everything inside. The blast wave propagated outward, shattering the windows of the barracks and knocking the remaining guards off their feet. In the operations room in Odessa, the screens went black as the last connection was severed. The room was silent for a heartbeat, then erupted in cheers. But the mission analyst was already typing his report. The destruction was total. A $250,000 ghost boat and 4 cheap FPV drones had just erased $100 million worth of Russian hardware. The Myrne base was scrap metal. The fires would burn for days. The heat was so intense that the aluminum hulls of the Russian drones inside the hangar had likely vaporized, leaving nothing but puddles of molten metal. Strategically, this was a disaster for the Kremlin. They had looked north to Greenland, posturing for a war that might never happen, and in doing so, they lost the capability to strike Ukraine from the south. The Black Sea Fleet was now effectively blind and toothless in the western sector. The psychological impact was even worse. If a swarm could penetrate their fortress Crimea while they were on high alert, nothing was safe. The fiber-optic technology had proven itself. No jamming, no spoofing, just pure hardline destruction. The Russians would scramble to find a counter, but physics is hard to beat. As the sun rose over the smoking ruins of Myrne, one thing was clear. Innovation beats hardware every time. The Arctic might be cold, but the Black Sea just got a whole lot hotter. Lessons were learned today in Moscow primarily that you can't fight a 21st century war with 20th century thinking. While Putin was playing Risk on a global map, Ukraine was playing 3D chess with explosive pawns. The Magura V5 sits at the bottom of the Black Sea, now its mission complete, but its sisters are already being prepped in hidden workshops. And next time there will be more of them. So while the politicians argue about ice sheets and trade routes, the real war is being decided by kids with gaming controllers and fiber-optic spools. Russia can buy all the Greenland it wants, but it can't buy safety. The smoke from Myrne is visible from Sebastopol, a grim reminder that in modern warfare there is no rear guard. There is only the target and the hunter. Bye for now.